各位观众大家好，很欢迎你们又来到我们 DVH 在 NAB 的现场啊。那今天很高兴我们访问到 Adobe 的 Cloud。那我相信大家Cloud 也是老朋友了啦啊。那今天他会来跟我们介绍就是Adobe Creative Cloud 的一些新的功能。Hi Cloud。
Hi, good to see you.
Good to see you too. 好，所以我待会就会开始问他一些问题啊，希望能够回答大家这一次对Adobe 一些更新的一些问题。Okay, so hi Carl. Adobe has launched Creative Cloud for over a year now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what's the general feel from Adobe, and maybe from users' perspective and from Adobe's perspective? Can you maybe talk a little bit about that?
Sure, absolutely. From our users' perspective, they're really loving the whole idea of being able to get all of the creative tools and all the services, sharing files, all the different tools that are available in the cloud at a regular fixed monthly cost. So I used to have some of my friends, we would come out with, let's say, CS5, and I would have a friend who would wait, and then they'd buy CS5. And then suddenly we announce CS6, and I get an angry phone call saying, I just bought CS5, and now you have it's CS6 out. It's like a lot of those customers are very happy about the idea of just paying month to month. If they need more seats, they just purchase more seats on a monthly basis, and then they can ramp up and down based on the production scale. Our engineers are really, really liking this. There were times in the past where maybe, for example, the After Effects team would work on a feature and maybe spend 2 years, 3 years working on the feature, and they'd be trying to make the deadline for the Creative Suite release. And suddenly they realized, oh, we need 2 more months of development time to really make this work the way we want it to. And of course, we had to ship everything at once. Everything had to be, it comes in a Creative Suite release. For legal reasons, we could not give free features in like small updates. We had to wait for a big Creative Suite launch to do a new feature. So now with Creative Cloud, the engineers just work at their own schedule. A feature is ready, they give it to the customers right away. And we've done for Premiere Pro alone, we've had 4 releases in 2013. Every one of those had around 20 to 30 features. One of them had over 100 new features for Premiere Pro by itself. And then you take that, the value of all of that is fantastic. You add all of the other tools, After Effects new features, you add SpeedGrade new features, new workflows. It's allowed the teams to make more things that kind of connect together and connect the applications together very closely. So everybody is very excited about it.
Great. So since we're at NAB now, so what are some of the cool features that Premieres and After Effects has to offer?
Well, they actually, both Premiere and After Effects now work closer together than ever before. One of the features many people are super excited about is the new masking and tracking inside of Premiere Pro. Now, last year we introduced a new simple mask tracker inside of After Effects, and it allowed you to just quickly create a mask and then say track mask, and it would work in kind of a planar tracking function. It would track that entire area as it moved around on the screen. We talk with a lot of editors, some of which do censorship for content or want to do a color corrector on a particular area of the screen. They want to do that in the editing software. They don't want to have to go to After Effects. So what we've done now, I've got an example of a clip here, and I can just blow this up full screen so we can see it a little better. Now in this clip I've got a little bit of a challenge. I don't have rights and clearances for this woman here, so I need to make sure she's not used in this shot. I'm going to go ahead and mask and remove her face from the shot. We'll put a bit of a blur on the face here. This is just one example of this new feature. You can use this for color correction. You can use this, virtually any of the different effects inside of Premiere Pro now have this built-in masking function. I'm going to start by taking a fast blur and just dropping it right on the clip and go to the effect controls. And if I want to affect the entire clip, I can still, bring up the blurriness function. I'll go ahead and switch to my program monitor here. So here we can see I'm blurring the entire clip. That's not a problem, but you'll notice that there's 2 new icons up here for creating different types of masks. I can create an ellipse mask, or I can create a polygon mask, and if I need to add points, I do that directly in the program monitor. So I'll go ahead and just create a simple mask here. I'll create an ellipse mask, and you can see we now have a mask showing up on the program monitor, And I can go ahead down here and we'll just put some blur in that mask so you can really see the mask on the screen here. And I can take this monitor or this window here. I'll go ahead and again select this particular mask, come over here. I can blow this up full screen so we can see this really good. And I can come in here and start to size and get this mask positioned where I want it. So we'll get this kind of positioned on her face here. Now I'm going to track this. So for tracking purposes, I'm actually going to make the mask maybe a little bit smaller than the area that I actually want to blur here, because I can expand the blur or expand the mask actually after the fact. So we'll go ahead and just kind of shrink this really down so it's just covering her face here. And you'll notice over here in the controls, I have fast blur. Here is the mask. You'll see these little buttons here for tracking forward, backward, and we can also choose exactly how we want to track this. It's got the same functionality that was introduced in a dot release for After Effects last year, but we felt it's a better fit. It's still in After Effects, but it also really helps out an editor who needs to do this type of work. So I'll go ahead and just hit track forward on this. And you see that this is actually tracking her face as she's moving across the scene. It does a really good job. It's a planar tracker, so it does a really good job of holding onto the track. And at any point in the process, I can actually stop this, and you'll see that this has generated keyframes. I can zoom in here so you can see the individual keyframes that have been generated by the mask. And now I can start to kind of play with this a little bit. I'll go ahead and expand the mask out a little bit beyond the mask range here, and I'll go ahead and give it a nice feather so that it's a nice kind of a soft mask effect. And you can see, that's the mask that I'm getting. Let's dial the blurriness down a little bit. Let's see if we can keep some of her features, but really just make her non-recognizable. That looks a little bit better there. And so now you can see I've actually done this blur effect very quickly and easily without having to jump over to After Effects to do this. I'll just end by just showing, again, other types of effects that can do this. This is doing the same exact thing, but with a mosaic effect. And you can also have multiple masks within the same effect or within different effects. So here we have a mosaic effect and a change color effect, each one having different masks. You can have one effect with multiple masks. You can have multiple effects, each one having a different mask. So it's a very powerful tool. The last thing to just quickly mention here, I'll go back to this. This mask, if I need the more advanced functionality in After Effects, if I take this clip and I send it over to After Effects using Dynamic Link, the mask becomes an After Effects mask, and suddenly I have all of the advanced functionalities with different blending modes, different uses of the mask for like exclusion. I can use more advanced functions like the roto brush if I need to create objects that are going in front of the mask. And After Effects has actually changed the way they do masks to kind of take some of this functionality in Premiere Pro. So when you're doing this type of compositing, you don't need to have multiple layers of the same source footage. So it's been a really powerful way of changing the way the Adobe tools are using masking, making it simple for an editor to work, and also making it easier for the compositing artist later on.
Well, that's great. What about After Effects?
So what we've been doing, again, another point where After Effects and Premiere Pro work together, we have really focused on something for broadcast graphics artists. So let me jump to After Effects, and you can see here I have kind of a side third effect here. I'll go ahead and set this to fit so we can see the whole thing here, and I can just hit play on some of this. And you can see we're using different graphic elements. We've got motion blur applied, and we've got a nice title coming in here as a title template. Now, in a lot of cases, After Effects artists would create something like this and then have to do all the revisioning with all of the different names, because the editor, a lot of editors don't want to jump over into After Effects if they need to change a name or change a title. A lot of different text elements here. You can see we've got, names, places, locations. What we can do now is I have the ability to come in here and I can lock various layers. So in this case, maybe I want to lock down the location. I'll leave them both open for now. And if I take this composition and if I go into the composition settings and go to advanced, there's a new function in here. Let me zoom in, which allows me to turn this composition into a template. And just like it says on screen here, unlock text layers become editable over in Premiere Pro. So a graphics artist can do one template like this, put it in a separate project. You would want to keep this as a single project or a single composition project to make this work. When you check this box, it's going to make this comp the only visible comp in the project. So once I do this, if I jump back over to Premiere, I already have imported a copy of this, and you can see it here, and I can go through and I can actually, hit play, and I can see the graphic playing back as a dynamic link here inside of Premiere Pro. If I come in and I double click on the comp, here it is right here, coming across as an After Effects project in Premiere. You can see that there's a couple of things that are kind of new here. The first is Premiere now has a transparency grid, which was really important to get the same kind of viewing option as you had over in After Effects. But more importantly, when I double click on this, the Effect Controls panel actually shows me all of the editable text. So I could come in here and I can change a name on this, and I can also make duplicate instances of this. So there's still just one copy of the After Effects comp on the hard drive, but now inside of Premiere Pro, I want to keep this version for Wonjung Kim, but maybe I want to add one with my own name here. I'll just come in here and duplicate this, double click on this version, and now on this version I can come in and change this and say, I'll keep it all uppercase here just to match the graphic look. Carl Lee Soule. And now you'll see that the text actually updates on this new version of this particular graphic. So we've made it very, very easy for the graphic artist to now create one template and allow the editor to have the flexibility to duplicate instances of this and make as many versions and copies as they need. And if they see a mistake at the last minute, they don't have to call up the After Effects artist and make a change with this. So you can kind of see, again, here's an example of how this looks. If I take my version of this and just kind of drag it, and I'll do what's called an option drag here to just replace this one, you can see that now we have the graphic with my name on it, working, and it's again the same composition, and I can still go through, I can hit play on this, and I can see the graphic as it's playing back. So really nice new workflow for someone who's doing graphics, especially in a broadcasting environment. Pretty happy about this.
Thank you, Carl. I hope you have a great show.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.